In my last two videos, I talked about heat damage and color damage and why rebuilding your curls takes time. But once you understand that part, the next question becomes, what do I actually do to help my hair respond again? Most frustration doesn't come from the damage itself. It comes from using the wrong treatment for the wrong problem. Online, this gets really overcomplicated. Your hair doesn't need 10 different treatments. It really only needs 3. And each one fixes a completely different issue: moisture, protein, and a reset. And once you understand the difference, you'll stop guessing. Sometimes your hair will stop responding completely and the products will just sit on top. Your definition may disappear and your deep conditioner may seem like it's not working anymore. You may rotate between protein and moisturizing treatments and still see no improvement, and that's usually buildup. Conditioners, stylers, oils, and minerals from water coat the strand and block absorption. And this is when you have to do a clarifying treatment to reset your hair. This is different from a clarifying shampoo. Shampoo will clean your scalp and remove oils from the surface. Bentonite clay removes the film along the length of the hair. And after rinsing this out, your curls will bounce back because your strands are clear again. This is not something that you should be using as a routine mask. You're going to use this periodically when your hair stops responding. You can use it every few weeks, but not weekly.
You don't need a huge amount for this to work. Most videos show handfuls of clay. That's unnecessary and harder to rinse out. I'm using bentonite clay, apple cider vinegar, and a little oil just for slip. At first, it'll look clumpy. That's normal. If it turns too runny, just add a little more clay. You're aiming for a smooth, yogurt-like texture so it spreads without tugging. This works best on clean hair. If you use it before shampoo, it acts more like a deep pre-cleanse. After shampoo, it actually resets the strand itself, which is what restores response. Apply in sections and focus on coating the strand, not the scalp. You can bring a little onto the scalp, but the goal is the length, not a scalp treatment. Once everything is covered, let it sit briefly. You don't need to leave the clay on for long.
Now, once your strand is clear again, your treatments should start working. So the next question becomes, what does your hair need after a reset? After removing buildup, what you do next is very important. Now you're deciding between protein and moisture. If your hair feels rough, looks dull, frizzes a lot, or tangles easily, that's usually a sign that it's in need of moisture. That's when you deep condition. Moisture will help the strand stay flexible so that it bends instead of snapping. And this is also why you should always condition after doing a clay mask. Clarifying prepares the hair and the moisture brings it back to normal. Then there's the opposite problem. When your hair feels overly soft, limp, or won't hold a style even though it's moisturized, this is a sign of a weakened structure. Color, heat, and chemical processes break down the protein bonds inside the strand. Moisture alone can't fix that because the hair doesn't have something strong enough to help it hold its shape. And this is where protein treatments come in. They temporarily reinforce the strands so your curls can keep their form again. But they're very easy to overuse. And if you use it excessively, it can cause your hair to become very stiff. So you should use protein as a correction step, not a routine step. Usually every few weeks or when your hair starts feeling overly soft again. So instead of asking, what product should I buy? Ask, what is my hair failing to do right now? If nothing is absorbing, reset. If it feels dry, moisture. And if it feels weak, protein. Keeping this in mind helps you figure out what your hair actually needs, instead of spending money or repeating routines that your hair doesn't need at that moment. If you want the timing and how often to use each treatment, including how I use the clay mask without drying my hair, I broke that down on my blog. And don't forget to check out my Pinterest if you want something short that you can reference later. I'll link everything in the description down below. The goal isn't to use more products, it's to use the right treatment at the right time so your routine actually works.